fell like confetti from the cake. They weren't the grocery store kind of candies. Those would never pass Grandma's inspection. But they were still candies. Jessica popped a pink one into her mouth and smiled when chocolate melted on her tongue. This was the best cake ever. She knew then that it was a sign. This was the year her wish would finally come true. Chapter 1. Phil Martinson-Canton eased onto the plush sofa in his parents' living room while his mother perched on a wooden rocking chair and cooed to the whining baby. Kara had raised Phil on her own. His father hadn't come into the picture until Phil was an adult. Instead of having a normal life, Kara and Phil had spent the better part of his youth in communes for single mothers. She now felt it was her duty to support every broken family she stumbled upon, including taking in babies like Mira when the need arose. Kara had always been a baby whisperer, but this particular infant seemed resistant to her maternal nature. Though Phil had stopped to visit under the pretense of inviting his parents to lunch, he'd sent his daughter to help her grandpa heat up a bottle so he could talk privately with his mother. He hated confronting Kara when she looked so exhausted, but she had a way of worming her way into areas of his life where she had no business being. Her meddling had always been tiresome, but now he was a grown man with a child of his own. He found it intolerable, and he needed to put a stop to it. "Jessica is at it again," he said. Kara creased her brow at him. "At what?" "She's been talking about me dating her teacher, Mom. As though it's going to happen." "Why are you looking at me like that's my fault?" Phil frowned at her. She knew exactly why that was her fault. "You've been giving me a really hard time about being single." She had the gall to look offended. "I have not." "Yes, you have." "Your mom is just worried about you." Harry walked into the living room shaking a baby bottle. Phil's dad always made excuses for Kara. She hated seeing Phil lonely. She wanted Jessica to have a mother figure in her life. As far as Phil was concerned, neither of those excuses justified planting the seed in Jessica's head that her dad needed a girlfriend, especially if Kara had implied that Jessica's teacher should be that girlfriend. "Where's Jess?" Phil asked, not wanting to hash this out in front of her. "She said she wanted a glass of water, but your mom made cookies this morning. I'm sure we're going to be missing a few when you leave." Phil opened his mouth to protest. They were headed to the cafe for lunch, but if Jess was sneaking snacks, at least she'd be occupied. Returning his attention to his mother, he got the conversation back on track. "Jess thinks I was flirting with her teacher." "Were you?" Harry handed Kara the warm bottle of formula. "No." Harry grinned, mischief sparkling in his eyes. "I wouldn't blame you. That is one good-looking elementary school teacher." Phil gawked at his mother as she situated Mira in the crook of her arm. "Did you hear that?" Kara casually shrugged. "Well, she is good-looking. If I were younger and single—" "Oh, my God, Mother." Phil closed his eyes while his parents laughed. Blowing out some of his frustration between his lips, he pressed his palms together and tightly entwined his fingers, willing himself to remain calm. "Look, the last thing I need is my daughter telling people I flirt with her teacher. Good grief, what if she told her classmates that? 11-year-old girls aren't exactly known for keeping secrets." "Shit," he said thoughtfully. "Maybe that's why Ms. Jackson acted so nervous at our last conference." His parents laughed again, and he glared at them. Kara had long ago embraced a bohemian style. She never seemed overly concerned with styling her long strawberry blonde hair, but as she rolled her head back, he noted how the messy bun on top of her head had become just as much a part of her style as brightly colored long skirts and fitted T-shirts. The exhaustion no longer showed only in dark bags under her eyes. His father's dark hair seemed grayer by the day, and the lines around his mouth somehow deeper. Caring for this baby was starting to impact his parents on a level he'd never seen before. His concern for their well-being would wait for another day, however. Right now, he just needed his mother to...